You're listening to The Real Fan Review with Hav, Sanj, Al, and B.
What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from The Real Fan Review. And today we got my brother B.
Konnichiwa.
Oh, we got my man Al, the man in the chair.
How's it going, everybody?
And we got myself, Hav, here talking about movies.
Woo.
If this is the first time to our podcast, we're a weekly podcast. We talk about movies. We recap movie news that are important. We talk about movies in different ways, and we have fun with it here on the podcast here. So every week we do this, and soon we'll be putting up just daily things, little reviews or opinion pieces. So be on the lookout for that on our YouTube site. We're at The Real Fan Review. So listen, today we're talking about the news of the week, such things like the Transformers, Tom Hardy, with his Spider-Man games that he's playing with us. We'll talk about LeBron James, and we're also going to talk about the best directors and their best movies. So we'll get into all of that this week, because I know we said we would do that last week and we didn't get a chance to. So let's get right into everything for the movie news, man. The first thing is that Transformers, the franchise there from Paramount, and it's been a letdown.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Pretty much. But the Bumblebee movie was pretty good. The first Transformer movies to me, is still great. Sanjay ain't here to defend the rest of those Transformer movies. He likes those Transformer movies. But they said they're coming out with two real life Transformers in the movies, and they're coming out with an animated prequel as well. So the two that are coming out is going to be a Bumblebee Part 2, apparently, and also they're going to do possibly Beast Wars. That's Brandon. That's Brandon.
I like Beast Wars.
You like Beast Wars. The prequel is supposed to be about them in Cybertron before they came to to Earth and everything. So those three movies in the mix, with Transformers being as up and down as it has been, really just tank. Because it was Transformers 1 up here, and then the rest is just garbage to me. Al, man, talk to me, man. Are you looking forward to any of those three there? What's your thoughts on Transformers, man?
I'm actually looking forward to the Bumblebee 2, because Bumblebee surprised me. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, especially for a standalone on any of the Transformers. Especially like you said, at that point they were, slowly on their way down in terms of quality. So I was like, all right, that was with everybody. Now, how good could a standalone movie on Bumblebee be? So I was surprised when it was as good as it was. So I'm looking forward to a part 2. But I'm really looking forward to the prequel. The
animated prequel.
Even though it's animated, I'm still looking forward to it. I want to hear their story for what got Optimus and Megatron fighting at each other, when at one point they were supposedly, it sounds like
brothers,
they always allude to that there was some bond between them in the past. So what started this? What started the war? What were they even fighting over, and so forth? And we've always heard references to the backdrop of the story, so to actually see it play out and get the details of that backstory would be something I'm excited to see.
Gotcha. Now, Brandon, if I know you like I know you, you're looking forward to Beast Wars.
I am way looking forward to Beast Wars. I mean, Optimus Prime is a freaking gorilla. That's great. To be honest, I am looking forward to Beast Wars as long as it's done well. If it's anything like Transformers: The Last Knight, then I am going to be sorely disappointed. So I hope they do it justice. Especially if you're familiar with the Beast Wars cartoon, because it was a cartoon. It was one of Fox's 3D cartoons at the time. It was really big. There was Spider-Man 2099, and then there was Beast Wars, and it had 3 seasons. It had an awesome game on Nintendo 64, crazy. It had an incredible story, that just really tied in everything. That from past, the whole way the show started was they were in cars, and then suddenly ended up prehistoric, and then they used what they knew about how they got that intel on cars to become dinosaurs and or animals of some sort, and the story was super awesome, and the Transformers themselves were incredible. Where you started seeing hybrid animals, there was a wolf, there was kind of a griffin, the Transformer. I forgot what his name was, but it was like Razor Claw, I believe.
Right.
There was like Spike Cheetah, or there was all these different Transformers that were so cool. And obviously things like Grimlock showed up, and it was pretty awesome how he evolved from being just the dinosaur Transformer to being like massive King Rex, Transformer. But I think I'm also looking forward to the animated one. For me, I guess because I love anime, I love cartoons. I feel like anime allows you to do so much more than you can do in real life, and it makes sense because it's anime. Like I think
You're
about like
willing to forgive a little bit.
yeah, like think about like Spider-Verse, like the things they were
Yeah.
able to do in Enter the Spider-Verse as opposed to what you've seen in any Spider-Man movie. Like they can have these high-flying battles, explosions, and all of it's crazy, makes no gravitational sense, but it looks cool, it's awesome, and it makes sense because it's an animated movie. Whereas if
Got
you were to see them, if you saw Tom Holland do that in his Spider-Man movie, you'd be like, okay, this shit like heavy CGI, like that shit don't make sense. Why can't he do that? You're willing to forgive that realm of realism because it's a cartoon.
Yeah,
So I
right.
feel like you get a lot
Yeah.
better action or your detail to things in animated movies. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what this animated Transformers could be because I love me some some Transformer cartoons.
Well, make that three of us, man.
Yeah.
I want the animated. The best Transformers movie there is Transformers the movie. You got the touch. That is the best. Granted,
Uh,
spoiler alert, they killed Optimus in the first 5 minutes, but
yeah.
that's still one of the greatest movies for Transformers ever.
Yeah.
At first when I saw animated, I was like, they're making a prequel to Transformers the movie? Like, no,
That's
it's
like
just a
that's Generation 1 cartoon. They did
no,
that already.
just a prequel to Transformers. That's all it was. So I
Yeah.
mean, I'm looking forward to, like Al said, the Cybertron story, I was gonna say Magneto, the Optimus Prime versus shoot, I forgot his name.
Megatron.
Megatron. I was gonna say
Yeah.
Galvatron, but that's
Yeah.
Transformers the movie again.
Yeah.
So I want to see that story play out because Bumblebee, yeah, it was cool. I liked it. I remember seeing it with my two brothers out in Virginia. So we saw the Bumblebee movie and we were kind of impressed by it. We liked it. It was a good movie, but it wasn't Transformers because it didn't have everybody all in. Transformers to me is the entire team versus the Decepticons. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's the
Autobots
reason why.
wage their battles to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Like it's it.
Yeah, not the Autobots. You know what I mean? Um, so it was
Yeah.
interesting. I'm down to see Bumblebee too because Bumblebee was good, but and Beast Wars. I really didn't watch Beast Wars when it was out. I never saw it, so I need to probably maybe catch up on it on Netflix or something. But yeah, man, that animated Transformer movie. I'm all about a prequel to seeing that story, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. And then on to the next news. Like I was, kind of hinting at it in the intro here. So, Tom Hardy, as we know, is our Venom, and he's doing this Spider-Man universe. I think they called it something this week. It was the Sony characters or Sony
Yes.
Pictures universe of Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some weird. Yeah.
It was so
Cash
stupid.
Cow Spider-Man universe.
Yeah, man. So they have their own universe, and Venom, of course, is one of their big attractions because a movie that wasn't supposed to do jack crap made $800 million. You know, and to be honest, it wasn't all that great, but it was still entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Hardy on his Instagram is playing a little footsies with us. He keeps posting pictures of him with biting well, of Venom biting Spider-Man's head off or biting Spider-Man or doing something to Spider-Man, and then he deletes it within 5 minutes. But of course, there's too many of us. There's too
Yeah.
many of us movie fans. So someone takes a screenshot of it real quick, and when he deletes it, the other person puts it back up like this is what he had up there.
In case
So I
you
just
missed
wanted
it.
to know, Brandon, man, what do you think of all this teasing, man? Is he just trying to tease? Is he playing games, or is Spider-Man and Venom 2 now?
I think it's a tease. I think it's gonna be an after credit scene where now Spider-Man's gonna get mentioned in a way. I don't think he's gonna show up. I think maybe in the third one he'll show up. Um, but I don't. I honestly, the way it seems like these Venom movies are going, it doesn't seem like they're gonna be Spider-Man centric in any way. It seems like this is about Venom and possibly the symbiotes and whatever form that means. And we talked about it last week in terms of, let there be carnage and what that means. And I alluded to there's a comic out like recently that's all about this guy named Null, and he is like the leader of the
Original
symbiotes and all.
symbiote.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was the original symbiote, and that story. I kind of feel like this is where this is headed. So I don't think this is going to be Spider-Man in the Venom movies. I think there'll be some more after credit teases about Spider-Man in New York, kind of a thing, or he was
Right.
overseas and Eddie Brock tried to go to Italy, or whatever to interview or something like that. I think it's going to be one of those kind of teases. But I don't think Venom is going to show up until like some kind of Spider-Man Sinister Six movie.
Gotcha, man. And Al, man, what's your thoughts, man? Is Tom Hardy playing with us?
Oh yeah, I mean, with nothing else really going on in the entertainment world right now, like this is his way of making sure everybody stays interested, keeps our appetite there for anything Spider-Man, Venom related.
Hmm.
Um, and in a way, like they can use the whole events from Far From Home to bring him into the Venom world, because Eddie Brock's a reporter. So what better story would there be to go cover the story of this local neighborhood kid who now
Hmm.
turns out to be one of the Avengers,
Right.
so, and one of the only Avengers now that doesn't have their like secret identity out there, because Thor
Right.
is known to be from another world. Everybody knows who Iron Man is. Everybody knows who War Machine is.
Was.
Yeah.
Was
Was
Al.
it was.
Respect.
Put
The
some
Iron
respect on
Death,
that
man.
name.
Yeah.
Respect.
So the only one whose identity nobody knows right now is Spider-Man.
And he just
So
came out as a murderer.
he just got blown out there. Yeah. So like that could be a good tie-in into why he now falls into the Venom world. Like, why
Mhm.
would he even be there? And to Brandon's point, like you don't have to make it that the symbiote came from Spider-Man now, because you didn't use that storyline. So now
Right.
it's all right. This is just a story that Eddie Brock was going after, and now because the two of them kind of are fighting crime on the same side, they partner up. But in the beginning, maybe they do fight each other.
Right.
Maybe Spider-Man, they couldn't go after Spider-Man thinking he's a criminal. So
Right.
that's how you get that initial Spider-Man versus Venom.
And
And then
oh yeah, keep going, keep going.
I was just gonna say, and then there's gonna be another bad out there, maybe another symbiote that they
Uh-huh.
both go after, and that brings them together.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
yeah. So it look like he just put out a little picture and look at everything we're saying. So
Yeah.
like that was
I
his
mean,
game. That was
we
his game.
haven't
Like just
seen
to keep
Venom
him
web
in.
sling yet, so
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell Tom Hardy, cut it out. Cut it out.
keep
Because
the
what's
shit
gonna
up.
happen? Yeah. What's gonna happen is somebody's gonna leak a picture, and I don't want to know anything. I want to go into the movie not expecting Spider-Man, and then all of a sudden, thwip. Like I want to scream and lose my mind in the theater if Spider-Man's in a Venom movie. So,
But
we'll
the
leave it
sad
at
part
that,
is, yeah, the sad part is, who's going to ruin it for everybody is Tom Hardy.
man. That's why he's got to cut it out. But listen, also real quick, when Al said something about, during this time period about something being entertaining, just really quick, I saw something really cool today. It was a bunch of the female actresses or actors out there. They did a thing called Girl Fight. And if you guys get a chance, I didn't mention it to anybody to look at it or anything like that. So even the fellas might have to look at it later on. There's Margot Robbie's Instagram. She put something up called Girl Fight, and it's basically all these like female actresses pretending to fight each other via like Skype or via like
Zoom or something.
it looks really cool. It looks the way that they edit it is really really crazy how they did it. You guys should give it a look. If anybody's listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, look up Girl Fight Margot Robbie on her Instagram or even search it up. I'm sure it's pretty much blown up by now, but give it a look. Really entertaining. It's a great I think it's 2-3 minutes long, and it's pretty funny how they do it and how they make it work. But anyway, back to like our regular news here. This one is going to probably like affect me and Al a little bit more than Brandon. LeBron James tweeted a picture of his hat, and his hat had a new logo for the what's the Space Jam
Space
New
Jam.
Legacy.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Ah, man, sometimes you always say like you don't want things touched from your past. Red is flying away.
I believe I can fly.
Yeah,
Oh
man.
man.
Oh, that's what set it off right there, brother.
Yeah.
But listen, man. I mean, I guess you could have seen this one coming because eventually they were going to do another cartoon basketball movie with this kind of theme of Space Jam, and it was going to be LeBron, right? It had to be LeBron. So I mean, it looks like it's happening. It looks like they're actually working on it. They got the logo ready to go, and
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I'm not sure I'm as interested as into it as I was when I was with Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny and all of them. But I don't know, man. It kind of hurts to see them bringing this back, and it's not Mike. All I know is Mike better be in the movie, but
Watch me be the coach.
he's gonna be the coach or like at the end show up to save the game.
Like Bill Murray did. Like,
Uh,
Al, man, what'd you think of, man? Space Jam: A New Legacy.
um, it was one of those movies. I'm not sure if we need it. Like
Right.
it's, I mean, LeBron. I hope he can pull it off. I mean, even Mike, you were hoping he could pull it off, given it was a movie and everything, and he was going to be the only like real person in there for a little bit. But it's going to be one of those movies that'll be great to, for to go with your kids, and you'll both be able to get entertained from it, as silly as I'm sure it's going to be, because even the first one was pretty silly.
Yeah.
But
On
I'm just,
stars.
yeah, I just want to know which other basketball players he's going to get to go in, because I'm hearing nobody wants to go in. That was the last
Nobody
thing
wants
I
to
was hearing.
on
well,
it,
nobody
right?
wanted to do the
Yeah.
first one either. So
Yeah, yeah, because nobody wants to be dunked on in a cartoon by a cartoon character, So
And forever be replayed. Meme culture.
wait, who was it? It was like Patrick Ewing, right? That they took one of the monsters, took his energy, right? He looked like a chump. Like,
Oh my
oh man.
God. Yeah, man. Brandon, what you thinking on this one?
I mean, I think the market lately in the last 5, 6 years has been nostalgia. So you knew at some point this was going to come back. I mean, the rumors of the sequel Tony Hawk was a thing a long time ago. How it was going to be a skater movie, and now so I think they're trying to get on that nostalgia train and bring back something that they hope is going to be successful and fun to bring the old audience in, as well as new audience with their kids. But I think it's going to be one of those niche things, like you gotta kind of have to like basketball for this movie really to work. um so that's the hoping, that a lot of kids now like basketball and or know these basketball players, and that they actually nail the story. I mean, even the first one, like Al said, was a swing and almost a miss. Like, it's a
Right,
great
right.
concept, but it almost didn't land the mark. So I think they have to really work on this one and make sure that it's gonna be a good time.
I hear you, man. All right, man. And the next one here, man, is primarily for Brandon there. So let's see if Brandon likes this. So apparently Disney's kind of got, putting out hope out there, just saying, hey, we're working on this. And looks like they're working on Hercules, man, with being produced by the Russo brothers. So
Oh
Endgame
wow.
for Hercules. Yeah, man. And they also got this writer who does a lot of action movies. So I'm like, whoa, okay. So I mean, they're working. The Mulan is finished. It's just being pushed back because of the coronavirus situation going on, and now they're working on Hercules. So to be right after Mulan, what do you guys? What you thinking there with Hercules? I don't remember Hercules. I just remember I forgot the guy's name, but
Phil,
he what?
Phil,
Who's Phil?
Danny DeVito.
No, no, I'm thinking
Oh,
about the bad guy.
oh, Hades.
Hades. I
80s.
remember
Yeah.
Hades in the movie being really awesome. So I'm looking forward to the movie, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't remember there being a lot of songs on that one and a lot of action where it needs action directors and producers. But Brandon, you looking forward to Hercules?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I love Hercules. It's one of my favorites. I love the main song from the movie. My only thing is that I demand that Danny DeVito still be That's all I want. Danny DeVito has to play Phil, and that's it. I don't care
Watch
who
them
they
put
get to
Josh
do
Gad as
anything.
Phil.
Josh, see, I like Josh Gad because he played Willa Fu, he played the snowman in Frozen. So he's hilarious, but I need Danny DeVito as Phil. You can cast like anyone else. You can cast like Henry Cavill as Hercules. I don't care. Cast Danny DeVito as Phil.
Oh, okay. You going Henry Cavill for Hercules? Okay.
I'll take anyone, really. Just give me Danny DeVito.
Hey man, Al, man, how about you, man? I don't know if you've seen Hercules on the animated version or if you think anything of it.
Nah, that's one of the few ones where I just saw parts here and there.
Yeah.
Like you guys were saying Hercules, I'm thinking like the live action ones that they've done in the
Kevin
past.
Sorbo.
Yeah. And then they do one with
The Rock, right?
The Rock. Yeah, Rock played Hercules. I like that one.
Oh,
I mean, it
yeah,
wasn't the
yeah.
greatest, but it was
Yeah.
fairly decent. Um, so if they're gonna do cut for cut like they did the cartoon, I'm not sure. Like I don't remember what the story was about. I don't know. So
Right.
it'd be like a new movie for me entirely because I have no idea what the plot was about. So
Yeah, me too, man. That's why the only reason I'll be looking forward to it be like I know Disney's always putting their A game. You know what I mean? They
yeah.
always get good writers, good directors. Look what happened with Aladdin. We didn't expect it to be that great, and it was phenomenal. You know what I mean? We were talking so much shit about Aladdin before it came out. It looks like it was shot in my hallway. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, but it was pretty good, right? So
Yeah.
let's give him a shot. And I'm sure Hercules is gonna be another one of those good ones, man.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
with the directors, the action writer, and everything like that, being produced and directed by great people. And like,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, man. And
Yeah,
then
it'd be-
yeah, go for it.
No, I was gonna say just like with any other movie, it comes down to the casting. So as long as they
Yeah.
make the right calls and put the right people, should
Well,
be
since
good.
the Russo brothers are directing it, they're gonna get someone from Endgame in there. So
Scarlett Johansson's gonna be Meg.
Insane, man. And then the last bit of news for the week, man, unfortunately, was the passing of a good actor, man, a really good actor. His name was Irfan Khan. He played in movies. I remember him from Inferno personally, but
Yeah.
he was also in The Amazing Spider-Man, Jurassic World, and I think he was also in Slumdog Millionaire. That's probably
Yeah.
one of the ones he's best known for. But he's honestly known even more by the Bollywood fan club. You know what I mean? People who love Bollywood movies should know Irfan Khan. And unfortunately, he passed at the age of 54 years old, man. It's pretty young. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wanted to ask you guys if you know this actor, if you know any movies that he's been in, or any movie that he stood out to you in. I know for me personally, he was menacing in a couple movies. So, but I remember him from Jurassic World because that's the most probably recent movie that he was in that I saw. Slumdog Millionaire, I think he did his damn thing, especially if you ever listen to Drake's song. There's a song where he wrote about the writings on the wall, were fake. Well, because in Slumdog Millionaire, spoiler alert, he put the wrong answer on the mirror. And I always remember that movie because of that. Like that was so dirty and so shameful. I mean, granted, he's acting a role, right? He's playing a role, but at the same time, you're like, you motherfucker. he was acting like he was looking out, you know what I mean? But he put the wrong answer up there, man. So I mean, man, any movie that Irfan Khan, stands out to you in?
I remember him from Slumdog Millionaire. It was a movie that I had watched at the time because everybody was talking about it. It was like one of those movies where everybody was talking about the movie.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah, so I said, all right, let me check out this movie. Obviously, there's got to be something to it, and it was a great movie. So I remember him from there, and from Jurassic World, and then just in looking him up to see other movies. I remembered that he had been in Inferno.
Yeah.
But just to see all the movies he had been in, if you look over his filmography, he's been in a number of movies. And
big.
And to see the following that he had, it just shows that the impact that he had, even as an actor, that he had a following, and it's a shame to have lost someone that had that much talent at that young age.
Yeah, still plenty more to give, man. Brandon, man, how about yourself, man? Any thoughts on Irfan Khan?
Yeah, I remember him from Life of Pi, which I thought was an incredible movie. He was at the end of the movie as the main character, older, telling his
Older,
story.
right?
Um, and it was, I thought even though he wasn't in for as long as, it wasn't really his movie so much, I thought his impact at the end was really awesome, especially because if you have read the book didn't end this way, the way where, he kind of told who the animals represented in the story, you know, and how he ended up. Spoiler alert: he was the tiger, because he had to kill. Was it the chef? Right? Was it who was the bad guy in the movie who killed his mother? Who was the orangutan?
I don't remember that one.
I don't remember either,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
his recounting of just saying that line, he goes, "Well, what if I would tell you that this story was about, me, my mother, and the blah blah blah?" And I was like, "Oh wow," just him delivering a line like that was like awesome.
yeah,
Wow.
So, I thought he was an incredible actor. I thought his film presence was incredible, and I think it will be missed as well.
absolutely, man. And that's pretty much it for our movie section of the week, man. And our next one is something that I promised you guys last week. A lot of people just started realizing us on YouTube because we actually just started doing like the videos on live where we're on the camera instead of just a podcast where you're just listening to it. So, we've been getting a couple more subscribers there, also on the podcast, man. So, shout out to France.
And vive la
Yeah.
France!
Viva la France, man. You guys are bigging us up right now, so appreciate it. Um, but we said last week, we want to give you guys a feel for like the movies that we're into, because sometimes when you hear people talk about their opinions, even if they don't agree with yours, you can respect somebody else's opinion. Or if you share the same opinion, you're like, oh, this guy kind of like thinks like I do a little bit. So you kind of give them more of a chance to speak their opinion more when you understand where they're coming from. So I wanted to give you guys some of our opinions on certain movies by certain directors. So what I did was I gave a list of like 5 directors. I think it was Nolan, Spielberg, let's see, Nolan, Spielberg, Tarantino, Scorsese, and Fincher.
Yeah.
So, these guys have done nothing but hits pretty much. And just wanted to get a feel for what you guys are thinking, because I also want to know for myself. I mean, me and Brandon are brothers, if you guys don't know. I keep saying my brother B in the beginning. And I've known Al for out of my 42 almost years of living, giving out my age and shit. I've known Al probably for 23, 24 of them, maybe. So
Yeah.
be interesting to see,
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
I know, right? Crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see what these guys like and what I'm into also as far as these movies go. So let's start off with Spielberg. He's one of the biggest directors. He's been making movies since I was like 5 years old. So even before I was born. So, Spielberg has nothing but hits,
Yeah.
and I'm just going through his catalog of movies, and I was surprised myself of all these movies that he's done. Like he's done things like one of them was Circuit 8, no, something 8. Super 8, I
Super
think it
8,
was.
Super 8,
Super 8.
yeah.
Super
I
8.
remember seeing that movie and thinking like, "Oh my God!" I wanted to see it just because his name was attached to it, and it was okay.
It was
But at
like the
the
family monster movie, right?
right, yeah, and it was just really with kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it was
It was
really
like
interesting.
Stranger Things before Stranger Things.
Yeah, pretty much, man. But then you look at his catalog. We're talking like, E.T., Jaws, all the Indiana Jones movies, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Minority Report, Color Purple. I didn't know he had anything to do with the Color Purple. Yeah, it's him.
Yeah.
One of our best favorite movies we have ever seen, Schindler's List, is Spielberg also. So it's just like Jurassic Park. It's so many damn hits. And I wanted to see what you guys thought about your favorite movies for Spielberg. I know for me personally, one that always stands out, something that I watch pretty much at least 2 or 3 times a year, is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. For me, I don't know what it is about that movie. I don't know if it's the clues and figuring out the clues, the relationship between Sean Connery and Indiana Jones in the movie, his father and the son dynamic was pretty hilarious, and just like I don't know, for some reason for me, I know a lot of people like Temple of Doom or Raiders of the Lost Ark more, but for me, that third movie is just incredible from beginning to end. I just absolutely love the beginning where it shows a young Indiana Jones and how he became, you know, he grew up and
Yeah.
religious artifacts and everything. That movie is just incredible. only the penitent man will pass. Only the penitent, only the penitent man kneels. You know, like just moments. You know what I mean? In all his movies, Jurassic Park. Think about
Mhm.
whenever you see a ripple in your cup of water. I know I go Jurassic Park. You know. So for me, but Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is one of mine for Spielberg. I'm sure there's a lot of better movies than that, but for me, that's the one that touches my heart and that I can watch pretty much all the time, man.
Yeah.
Brandon, man, what about you, man? Spielberg, so many hits. Anything for you for Spielberg?
I mean, with Spielberg, he brings along one of my favorite people on the earth, John Williams, and the music and the visions, if you know how movies and film scores come together, you know that the film score is one of the last things, and it's musicians scrambling to get things done and recorded and written, possibly 5 to 6 months before the movie release, and it's a crazy time, but the musicians take a lot of their musical vision based off of what they saw from the movie visually, and John Williams is noted in saying, like, I'm not one to see my movies, I'm not one to this and that, but I think it wasn't, I believe Jurassic Park is when he he was in disbelief of what the movie was and when he was writing the music for it, And so
Yeah,
it's things like that. Like, you see the true visionary of a director based upon the people they influence that also accompany the movie,
right.
and you take a movie like Jurassic Park, where you are now in the age of CGI. CGI is still early, but it's there. It's not Star
Right.
Wars 1976. This is CGI 1994. So you're taking a movie where this guy had every capability of just taking every single dinosaur and making a computer graphic, and he said, "Nah, I'm gonna make a T-Rex." And they made a goddamn T-Rex that moved, that scared the cast whenever they were on set because it looked so real. Like, that's vision. Like, Spielberg, I,
Yeah,
I think, not only did he create the ensemble of people that inspired me to be the musician that I am or write the music that I love, but also the movies that I like to see. He's put in my head that this is the type of movie I like. And
gotcha.
so, true visionary, incredible.
All right, man. Al, how about you, man? Spielberg, man. When you think of Spielberg, what movie is the one that like appeals to you the most?
Surprisingly, it's a movie I didn't even know was his. Um,
Get out of
like
here.
I'm looking over the list. I mean, you got the E.T., the Jaws, Jurassic Park, and so forth. And just like you, I had no idea he had anything to do
And
with Color Purple.
Color Purple,
It's
right?
yeah, until I looked up his list for the podcast episode. But the one that when I saw this the was Minority Report. That's one of the few movies. I mean, it doesn't get the
Tom
credit I think
Cruise.
is kid. It doesn't get the credit I think is due in regards to in terms of, I mean, it's a sci-fi movie, yes, but in terms of what they predicted in terms of how society would be in
Right.
terms of technology, like they didn't make it about the technology just happened to be in the movie.
Right.
um so, but to think about like the fact that like they do it online now, they with tracking us, like you go to one site, you look up a tool, you go to Google, and all of a sudden there's an ad for that tool on the side. Like, that to me was the equivalent of them walking around and their eyes being scanned, and then the ad talking to them about, oh,
Yeah.
so and so, like, Alex, here, did you want to know, here, we have a new a sale on so and so, just
Yeah.
because they know all your trends and they can ID you. And just
Right. Right. Right.
every piece of technology in terms of how it incorporated into our day-to-day life, and then just went from there. The self-driving cars, granted, I don't see them driving along the side of a building, but the fact that he was able to just get in the car and say, okay, take me here,
Right.
just the little nuances, the interaction, the IR, VR, whatever you want to call it, with the way he interacted with the computer,
Right. Right.
and just seeing all of those little nuances with the technology, but not making it about the technology. Um, and to the point where in the end you still feel like it's a family movie because it was about him losing his kid, getting back with his wife. Spoiler alert, and then the and then the conflict of those three kids that they were using as the backbone of the underlying technology, crime fighting technology. So to be able to put a movie where you can have that much of a personal interaction and it's supposed to be a sci-fi movie, to me just shows the strength of what he can do as a director when he's involved.
Gotcha, man.
Because I think anybody
man.
else would have gotten lost with, okay, let's do this, let's do that, let's, do these graphics. Somebody else would have gotten lost in terms of making it about the gadget or the effects.
Yeah, man. He's talented, man. One of the originals, man. I'm sure he probably inspired a lot of the people we're going to be talking about today. So let's just go right to the next one, man. So our next director, man, that I wanted to bring up was Christopher Nolan, who they call the Spielberg of our time right now. So, he's had a couple of hits there. I mean, we're talking Inception, Interstellar, Memento, the 3 Batmans that most recently came out. You know what I mean? So he has a lot of different movies that have come out. They've all been interesting. The Prestige is a movie that me and Brandon now have talked about in the past that was pretty interesting as well. And, when I think about his movies, for me, the one that stands out the most besides The Dark Knight, but hands down, is like an incredibly great movie, especially for a quote-unquote comic book movie. But for me, the one that stands out for him because of the way that it just hits you in the head is Inception. Inception is a concept that I didn't think I would ever see. And, going into people's dreams is something that Freddy does, not Nolan. So that concept of being able to manipulate people in their dreams and to get to their thoughts, and how a thought can create something else that you didn't expect because you keep telling someone to believe in a certain way of thinking and you don't know the the effect that you have on the person, was insane. Then they did a dream within a dream. That's not, which I still don't understand, but I'll let it be.
We gotta go deeper.
But as well as the ending of that Inception movie, and there's not going to be a spoiler alert to this. If you haven't seen Inception, get off this goddamn podcast and go watch Inception and come right back. But the fact that after that movie ended, I don't know how many conversations I had with people about whether the top ended up falling or did it just keep spinning. And then even besides that, there's also theories that maybe that wasn't the totem. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you guys ever had that conversation, but they say the totem may actually be the ring finger, the ring on his finger. Yeah, his wedding ring is the token, not the top. But at the same time, it was just such a fascinating movie. I've never seen anything like it. And when I left that theater, and even, I could have a conversation about that movie completely today. So to me, Christopher Nolan, I think Inception, and 1B is Dark Knight. So, oh man. So, Brandon, man, what about you, man? Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan, I mean, when you're talking Nolan, you're talking story. If there's anything he can get, is the story and then setting the scene behind it. How do you take a superhero movie and make it look great? Not many people can make scenes look like that. Even the scenes where he wasn't even Batman looked incredible. Just in The Dark Knight, when he was in the Lambo and he crashed the Lambo. Like that scene of him driving along, through the street before he crashed the car. The cinematography was incredible,
Yeah.
Just the opening of The Dark Knight, him having the ability to tell a story and all the minute details in between and make them look incredible too is astonishing. Interstellar is absolutely one of my favorite movies from him. I mean, you've named The Prestige, Memento, Inception. Those are all my favorite movies. I love Interstellar because the story on that is so deep, especially when you're talking in that future setting, and then how, where the story goes and the action it takes to get there. Even in the moments that it's slow, you kind of have, he finds a way, even if it's just in the music that's done by somebody else, but in the way the scene is brought together with the music and the cinematography, you get anxious because there's things happening and you're not sure why maybe something's going to happen in a second, but because the music did a little thing here that made you a little bit more alert. You're not sure
Uh-huh.
why, but it's just he takes all the story elements that he works with his composer to say like, I need this kind of feel here. So I think there's a moment
Yeah.
in Interstellar when I believe his ship was gonna crash or something like that, or he had to do something before it blew up. I forgot what it was, but the music there tied in with the scene had your heart racing because you didn't know that your anxiety built. You didn't know this was gonna actually happen or he was gonna
Yeah.
pull it off. And that's genius that he can bring you into a movie and it's not real,
Gotcha.
but he can make you feel that way.
Yeah, man. So what was your movie for Nolan?
Interstellar.
Interstellar? Wow. Okay. Al, man, how about you, man?
And for Nolan, the one that I guess for me put obviously other than the Batman movies was The Prestige.
Yeah.
That was a
Awesome.
movie that, yeah, I mean that story took me in view. Like I had to watch, I think like a day or two later, just to really understand that this guy was killing himself. I mean, if you don't know the premise of the movie, go watch it because it is an interesting movie in the sense that like I really had to ask myself like, would I be willing to do that from both sides? Like
From
not
both sides. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
both sides.
yeah, because like to use like to have your brother and you coordinate like live my life. Yeah, do this with my wife because I really need like we need to be committed to the act that you are me when you're me to the point where yes, sleep with my wife, make her think you're me. And then Hugh Jackman's. I mean, think about the actors you had: Scarlett Johansson, you had
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman,
Yeah.
and what's his name?
Insane.
Sanjay's favorite actor. Um, Geez, why am I drawing a blank?
I forgot Batman's name too,
Christian
kid. Don't
Bale.
even worry
Christian
about
Christian
Bale.
Bale.
it.
Christian Bale. I mean, just
He,
think
c-
of the
he
actors
had
you
his
had.
he had to take off his own fingers to match his brother. Like that's
Right.
That movie
And
was
then
nuts.
Hugh Jackman's
He's
character.
crazy.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie. But Hugh Jackman's character to kill himself every time he did the act, just so that that act can go through and really amaze everybody. I mean, to have that kind of commitment
Sick.
just to perform your art, I
and
had to
then wondering
rewatch it
who the
again.
original was when the first time the scene got botched.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Ah!
I had to watch it again to say, is that really what's happening? And did I just misunderstand the whole
Yes.
plot? Like,
You gonna
I
make me
had
watch
to.
it again.
Oh, yeah, watch it, man. Watch it. It's a good movie, and that's what I'm saying. And all his movies are like that. Like, they're not like basic stories.
Right.
They're not like a plot where you can say, okay, yeah, I know what's going to happen in the first
Exactly.
five. Like you don't know 5 minutes into the movie what's going to happen 5 minutes later. Whereas with some of these movies, you're 5 minutes in and you already know who's going to be the bad guy, how the
Yeah.
movie's going to end. And with him, like you really have to watch his movies because he involves so much information into his movies and his characters.
Absolutely,
I
man.
think what's funny about that movie was like, you start seeing the movie and I'm like, oh, he's definitely got a twin. And then you're like, okay, let's get to the twin part. He's gonna figure out the twin thing. He's gonna expose him. Then it's like, yo, you've been doing what? You've been copying yourself and killing yourself. Oh shit!
Yeah, and the thing with the hats, like I didn't understand the thing with the hats. Like every time I saw that movie two or three times, and it took me, I think, the second viewing to realize, oh, the hats are the copies of that. Like that's what I'm saying. It was like there was so much going on that I was
Layers.
a kid. I
Layers
was like,
on
oh,
layers.
Yeah. To
yeah.
say that we're looking forward to Tenet is an understatement.
Oh,
I just want to know what it means.
If you spell Tenet backwards, it's the same.
yeah. No, and then I think isn't that so the block that they show in the movie? Isn't that like a real block?
I-
I can't stand you. That's what the movie means.
It's just, it layers.
Layers. There's so many layers.
Oh man! All right, so let's go to our boy Quentin Tarantino now, man, as a director. Now you guys know Quentin Tarantino said he's only gonna make 10 movies.
You got one
That's
left,
it.
right?
He's got one left after this one apparently, but let's see, man. We got Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, The Django Unchained, The Hateful Eight, and you guys know his freaking
Yeah.
his filmography there. So I mean, for me, like I said, I had this one up, man. Is The Hateful Eight. I haven't seen a good Western movie in a long time, and I really do enjoy Westerns from the Young Guns 2. There's a couple of Westerns that I liked in my, I just can't remember the names of them. I know there's one that I saw with Denzel Washington. I think I think it was the Magnificent Seven or Magnificent.
Yep. Yeah, the Magnificent Seven. Yeah.
And I saw the original one also. So that is just those type of movies. They do affect me, and I like them. You know what I mean? But they're all pretty much kind of the same deal. But The Hateful Eight was just something completely different. Yeah, it was a Western, but it also had that Quentin Tarantino commentary throughout the entire movie, where you're fascinated with just what they're speaking, what they're talking. You're trying to figure out what's going on, who's going to get it next, how are they going to get it next. You know what I mean? And that movie is about, I would say, like about 3 hours long. It's a pretty long movie. But to say that it was entertaining is just ridiculous. Again, just the conversations, that the people are having amongst themselves, and you're trying to figure out what may happen next. You can never really plan it out with a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
For me, man, that The Hateful Eight, man, is one of my movies for Quentin Tarantino. That if someone asks me, hey, I've never seen a Quentin Tarantino movie, which one should I watch? I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to say Kill Bill or Pulp Fiction and stuff like that. I'll be honest with you guys. I saw Pulp Fiction recently, not recently, well, maybe about a year ago for the first time.
Wow.
I really wasn't that impressed with it like everybody else, but for me, Hateful Eight, man, that's my movie. And Brandon, how about yourself, man? Quentin Tarantino.
I would say I think I really understood Tarantino right around Kill Bill Volume 1. If there's anything, is the man is abstract. It's just his way of thinking about doing things is so out of pocket. It's crazy, but it works really, really well. So like I genuinely love the Kill Bill series. I love how ridiculous but incredible it was. So him as a director, I mean, I feel like that's his whole career, is as ridiculous of a movie as it is. It's so incredible.
Gotcha, man. And how about you, Al, man? When you think Quentin Tarantino, what movie hits you in your head?
Reservoir Dogs.
Oh,
Forget
Mr.
it.
Pink,
I mean,
Mr. White.
yeah, Mr. Brown. Oh, the scene in the diner, when they're all talking to one another, and the scene in the warehouse. The fact that there's only two real scenes.
There's two locations. That's it.
So that's it. The whole movie is dialogue. It literally is dialogue, and with that, you still get invested in these characters.
Yeah.
Like that movie made me a fan of his. That for life. That was it. And it made me enjoy Pulp Fiction that much more when it came in. Just having to track, okay, which scene is before when, even though they're all out of order. It just made me appreciate his style because I hadn't seen it before until him. So, so it just made that, and then the Kill Bills. But the one definitely, if people were to say, if I could only watch one of his movies, which one should I watch? For me, it would be Reservoir Dogs.
Gotcha, man. All right, man. Let's go to our fourth director, which is going to be Martin Scorsese, best known for all his mafia movies, but he's done a couple of other movies. He's done a lot of movies in there. So, with Scorsese, you're talking Goodfellas. Let's see what else, man. Al made a good list here of all these guys. So let's see, you got Goodfellas, Taxi Driver, The Departed, Shutter Island, and there's a lot more there also. But for me, I when I saw it, I immediately knew this was the one for me, man. And that's gonna be Goodfellas. Goodfellas for me is just an incredible story, man. It's a great tale. And to this day, when wifey opens the door for me on my side when she's in the passenger seat, I'm like, oh, she's a good girl. It means absolutely nothing, but every time, because of the movie, I'm like, oh, But Joe Pesci's amazing in this movie. I forgot the lead actor in this movie, man, but he's fantastic as well. And just the story, the craziness, the lines, the scenes. So you think I'm funny, like a clown, like
I amuse you.
oh God. Just
Oh man.
incredible, great story. You know, Goodfellas for me, man, is just amazing. Brandon, man, when you think of Martin Scorsese, anything?
I think the man, I know he's big on the story. He has this central look and feel of his movies. Whether it's a mafia movie or anything of the sort. They all kind of have this theme to it. That is going to run through story wise and kind of be big on the story. And I don't know if this is good or bad or not, but when I think Scorsese, I always think The Departed. And to be honest, I fucking hated The Departed. I fucking hated it so bad. But there's just something about the movie that you watch it once and you're like, what the fuck? Like, all
That
the twists
ending.
all the twists and turns that happen throughout the movie, and you have no idea who's the lead goddamn character through it because of the way it flows. And then you get to the end and you're like, what? So then you watch it again, and you go through it, and you still go, "What?" And that right there is Scorsese. Like he's a great storyteller that he has a way about him in telling his stories that I
Yeah,
don't know if they make sense to him mostly, but he knows how to make it so that way you kind of like grasp it, and
yeah.
so it's crazy.
The Departed for Brandon. Al, man, how about you, man? Scorsese. Which movie touches you, man, on that one?
Um, at first, I was gonna say The Departed, like Brandon, at first, until I saw another movie that was on his list of movies, which is Shutter Island.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah, that
Leo.
that
was I was about to say Shutter Island for me too for Scorsese.
Yeah, like I would not have if you had to ask me, is this one of his movies? I've insisted that it wasn't because it
Right,
to me it doesn't feel like his other movies.
right.
And then the way the movie goes, the way what it involves, and then the twist at the end, the way the movie plays out, I mean, a a credit to the acting of everybody, Leonardo DiCaprio and everybody involved. But just the way he makes that story play out, like really has you trying to figure everything. Like like how is
Right.
this
Yeah.
like how is that possible that everything
Like
I
who's lying
just
in this one?
saw? Yeah, like I just watched this movie for over an hour and something. You're telling me it's all in his like
Yeah.
it was crazy, man. Like that was another one of those movies where if you watch it multiple times, you'll feel like you're watching it the first time each time.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. And then we're gonna end the podcast on this last director here. He's one of my favorite directors personally because of some of the movies that he's done is really like just wowed me pretty much. That's gonna be David Fincher, man. He's done a couple of great movies: Fight Club, Seven, Gone Girl, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Panic Room, The Game. Um, these are classics. And like Gone Girl, I remember seeing that with my wife and my mom, and even just hearing them next to me going, you know, my wife still talks about the scene in Gone Girl, where she realizes Doogie House is crazier than herself. So she's like, "That's just crazy." But without a doubt, for David Fincher, for me, is my number one movie of like my entire life because I remember seeing it in the theater when I was in high school, and I will still watch that movie anytime, any day, and that's gonna be Seven. Seven, I mean, I talk about just like kept me shocked. And it's one of those again like the endings in Christopher Nolan's Inception. You ask yourself, and you can have a conversation with anyone right now. What was in that box? Was it was it an unborn baby? Was it a head? Was it something that that he could only recognize? Like to see, oh my God, what's his name? Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
His face when he looks at the box and turns to him, goes, "Don't do it. Don't look. Don't look. Get out of here. Don't just go." And
He's won. He's won.
what's in the box?
What's in the
And, and,
box?
Mor- and Morgan Freeman says he knew the minute that happened, it was over. And the way the story played out in Seven is absolutely incredible. And it's just something that always makes me think and always, I still get scared with Sloth being found because there's no way that man should be alive. But anyway, whatever. There's just something about Seven that I watched it maybe I would say about 4 months ago. I watched it, and I couldn't move. I couldn't pause it. I just watched it straight through, and I was just like, that movie's incredible. So David Fincher, for me, no matter what else is in there, because I love a lot of those movies in there. Seven, boom, I'm done. Brandon, David Fincher.
David Fincher, I mean, I don't know so many movies from David Fincher, but Seven is incredible. It makes you think. But to be honest, and I'm pretty sure this is probably going to be Al's too, is Fight Club. And that movie is absolutely incredible.
Bonkers. Yeah.
It's just the way it's shot, the way the story flows, up until you get to the twist at the end, and then you start to see from the other point of view of how he became he became Tyler Durden, and you see him acting like Brad Pitt's character, and just pulling it off and making this so believable that holy shit, he was crazy, into that last moment where they're in their last scene, he's just like, fuck, this is the only way to do this shit, so like the whole movie narratively was incredible, and you see the same elements in Seven with the narrative. It's a crazy, it's it was Seven Deadly Sins, and to make that story make sense in the time being, and he ended up Brad Pitt ended up being Pride, correct, right?
Yeah.
He ended up being Pride. So like, how you get to that point and showing him that he was Pride, and getting to what's in the box, and one of probably the most powerful scene in the whole movie. It's like I only know really so much of the two movies. I didn't watch The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I'm pretty sure I've seen Panic Room, but I can't remember it. But those two movies alone really establish like who he is as a narrative writer.
Yeah, those two movies, man. Ridiculous. Al, David Fincher, man. Which movie means something to you there the most?
I would want to say Fight Club, but to not have to have a repeat, I'll go with The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Really?
Yeah, the reason being is I had originally seen the original version of it. That was, I forget, I think it was on Netflix. They had it in its original, like it's subtitled, where like I had to watch the movie and read in order to understand what was going on. And that movie was good. I mean, the story, the plot, they tweak it a little bit in his interpretation of the movie, but it was still a good version of it. I still enjoyed it, even for their changes and their tweaks from what they made from the original. But just it had the same vision. So even though it was a redo or a reboot or an Americanized version of it, he still did a good job in the sense that like you still had the same takeaways from this version as I did, at least from the first one, which was to like, okay, I know there's a sequel. I can't wait to see what he does with the sequel. And just to know that he did Fight Club, I mean, I didn't track who the directors were, but when I'm writing down for the list, I'm like, wait, he did Fight Club? Wait, he did Seven? Yeah, this guy did Panic Room? I was like, what? I was like, oh my God. It just makes you appreciate what these guys do. Like, because, sometimes you don't take account of who the director is. You get so caught up with, oh, who's the actor? Who's this? Who's doing the music? Yeah, the biggest part is who's directing it, who's making sure that this movie plays out the way it's supposed to.
Filmed the way it's filmed, yeah.
Yeah, like their vision, and they make sure that their vision comes through on the screen. And it's just a credit to everybody that we've put through today that they have the legacies that they do.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. Yeah, man. Well, like I said, man, this was just a way for us to show you guys the movies that we kind of like are into and like. And, maybe you have something that you like more. If you do, listen, if you're on the podcast, you can't really do nothing about it. You could just maybe email us like, hey, you forgot this movie or whatever. If you want to email us, we're at therealfanreview@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, therealfanreview.com. But
Yeah.
if you're on the YouTube, if you're watching the video, comment below. Let us know what movie you like.
Yeah.
What movie did you think that we maybe left off or should have mentioned on, these directors here? Because these directors are some of the greatest that's ever lived.
Yeah.
They got some great movies, and hopefully maybe you heard something and you haven't seen one of these movies. Go check these movies out. These movies are fantastic. You can find them easily online. And I'm telling you guys, you will enjoy these movies. These movies are incredible. So
Yeah.
listen, man, coming out of Long Island, New York, man, it's myself, Hav. We got my brother B.
Sayonara.
We got my man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
And again, guys, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're a weekly podcast, so stay tuned for us till next week to see what we talk about again regarding these movies that we love. Have a good night. We'll catch you on the next one.